Seller Central account. So there are three different ways for you to add products to your Amazon inventory. Firstly, in Seller Central, you can add products to your inventory in bulk using inventory files. These are also referred to as product templates or flat files. If you have a large inventory, using inventory files can save you a lot of time. They allow you to manage your product listings in bulk rather than making updates one by one. This is possible as long as you have your inventory in Excel format. Please note though that this feature is just for professional sellers. The second method for you to add your listings is to add them one by one using Add a Product function in Seller Central. I would not recommend this if you have a large catalog because you will need to make any updates one by one through Seller Central. If you want to make any bulk updates, it is very difficult with this method. But just so you know, if you want to add new products one by one, just click into Inventory, add a product, and create a new product listing. Thirdly, if you're selling products that are already on Amazon, you can match to existing listings using the same tool and searching for an existing product here. In this tutorial though, I will be focusing on the first method, that is adding products to your inventory using inventory files, as I think it is most relevant for professional sellers like yourself. So first I'll teach you how to locate the right inventory template for the category that you want to sell in. There are different templates for different categories. So first you go to inventory, add products via upload. You will see three tabs here. We will run through all three tabs today. But first, to download an inventory file, you stay on the first tab. And it's really very simple. You just need to type in the product or the category that you want to sell in. So today I want to sell dresses. So I'm going to search for that. And the system will give me different suitable categories for my product that I have listed. So I can choose to sell novelty dresses. I can choose to sell dresses in the general category, or if I wish, I can sell plus size dresses. For today, I'm going to sell in the general apparel category. So I click on the plus sign and the table below will populate. And firstly, I will see item type keyword, dresses, department name, women's. So this is very important information, but just note it for now and we'll come back to this later on. And this is where you see the inventory files you can download. You'll notice that there are two types of templates, the light template and the standard file template. Light templates are designed to be easier to navigate, so it's a lighter version of the standard file, but it should contain the majority of the information a seller would need to list a product. The standard flat file template is more extensive, it's more detailed and include all the possible attributes that you can provide information on to your customers. There's actually also a third file and it's called the simple flat file. If you're working with a regional manager in my team, this is probably a file that you're familiar with. When you start working with us, this is the first file you'll receive from us. And this is a very, very simplified version of the inventory files that we use. And it's just to get you started, but if you were to try to upload it to Seller Central, you will find that the system does not recognize it. So this is really just to get started, and you should instead try to get more familiar with the light file or the standard file. So let's take a look at I'm going to download the standard apparel file to list my dresses. So I just click into the link and I'll open it. I already have one open here. So when you open it, you will see tabs along the bottom of the workbook. Firstly, instructions on how to use the inventory file. Next, so if this is your first time filling out the template, I would suggest reading through this tab. The next tab is data definitions that defines each attributes in the file and tells you how to complete your inventory template. When you fill out the template for the first time, I would think the most helpful tabs are the data definitions tab or the valid values tab. We'll come back to the valid values tab later on, but for now, data definition tab, it gives you a definition of all the different fields that we're looking for. For example, what is a product ID, how do you use it? And it also tells you, gives you guidelines on how to format your product. So for example, you can see guidelines on how to format your product titles here. So all very helpful information. Also gives you an example of the accepted values. So for example, we only recognize dates in certain formats, so it tells you how to format your dates. And most importantly is this column here, column G, about whether the information is required. So there are a lot of tabs in a lot of columns in the template that you will fill out later on, but not all information is required. So this is where you can find out what is required information and what is just optional information that you can provide to make your listings richer. So required information is absolutely needed in order for your file to upload successfully. And different categories will have different required information. So for example, if you were to sell glasses or spectacles, you will find that lens width and color are mandatory fields. And if you're selling toys, minimum age would be a mandatory field. So this is different for different categories. So make sure you check the data definitions tab before starting out on a new template. Right, so moving along to the next tab, valid values, something else that I want to touch on. This is where you find values to enter into the template. So for some columns, you need to type in specific values for the system to recognize it. So for example, if I want to provide information on my shipping weight, and it's 5 kg, I cannot write it in 5 kilograms. I cannot spell it out in full. Instead, I need to write kg because this is what the system recognizes. Also, for example, color will have specific ways that we spell or recognize the color. So all this information is listed here, and I would suggest you take a read through it when you first download the file. And of course, there's also an examples page where you can have extra guidance with an example template if you need it. And then you have the template, which looks like this. So we'll run through most of these fields later on in the tutorial. But before we start filling it out, I would like to introduce the concept of variations to you. So Amazon is known for creating only one product detail page for a unique product. This creates a clean browsing experience for the customers. So if you have a product that is essentially the same product, but they vary by size, color, or another attribute, we want to list them under the same product detail page as well. So we want to list all these variations under the same parent, and all the variations will be known as children. So they will then form a parent-child relationship. So let's take a look at an example. So this is a dress. It comes in different colors, and it also comes in different sizes. So an extra small/small black dress is one variation. Small/medium black dress is a second variation. Medium/large green dress is another variation. So there you can see there are lots of variations here, and they are all, you need to list them individually, but they all fall under the same parent product. So the parent product isn't actually a product that exists. It is just something that we create, something fictional, sort of like a heading that we can group all the child variations under. And when you are deciding whether you should create variations, you should think about whether, number one, are the products fundamentally the same? Number two, do the products vary only in a few specific ways? Number three, would customers expect to find these products together on a single product detail page? And number four, could the products share the same title? So Amazon has a list of themes that are acceptable as variations, and it is different for each category. For example, as you can see, if you're listing apparel, you can create variations by color, by size, or by both color and size. If you're selling, say, potato chips, you can see that you can actually create variations by flavors and also by size. So this is something that you didn't see in the apparel category. So it depends really on the category. And to determine what kind of variations you can have for that category, always refer to the Valid Values tab and then search for variation theme. So in the apparel category, you can list different products. So I could be using this template to list baby costumes. I could also use it to list luggage. I could also use it to list a dress. But as you can see, each of these have different variation theme. So if I were to list a dress, I can have it vary by color, size, or size and color. But if I were to list a baby costume, I can have it even to vary by style name. So always check your Valid Values tab before you get started on building your listings. And not every category accepts variations either. So for example, on the US marketplace, Amazon does not accept variations for toys, consumer electronics, video games, and watches. All right, so we'll click back into the template tab to start. Firstly, I need to make a note that it is very important that you do not delete or modify the top 3 rows. This is a marker that the system uses for uploads. So if any changes are made to the top 3 rows, the system will not be able to read the file and you'll get an error. Okay, so let's fill out an example product. I am a new seller and I am selling maxi dresses. I have them in 3 colors, black, gray, and white. And I sell them in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. I own this brand called Amazon, and I have registered my brand in the Amazon brand registry. So each column here represents one data attribute for your product. For example, you'll type your product SKUs in column SKU. And for every product you want to upload, you need to fill out one row in the spreadsheet. If you have variations, you need to fill out product information in separate rows for each individual child product. So in today's example, I'm selling dresses in 3 colors and 3 sizes for each color. So that's 9 variations, and I need to list them separately. So like this, I have all the 9 variations here. And later on, I'll also need to create a parent product. But first, I'll fill out the SKUs. And remember, the SKUs need to be unique. So assign an SKU to each product. Now we go on to the parent product. As I mentioned earlier, it is not an actual product you can buy, but it is like a heading that you can group child products under. So it's completely fictional, but in any case, you will still have to create an SKU for it because it is information that we'll use later on. So go ahead and name it whatever you want. For my team, we like to use the general SKU and add a dash and a $sign and a P behind it. But really, it's up to you. It can be anything at all. Next, I put in the product name for the parent. This should be very general, but following our style guidelines. So usually we will require product names to have the brand name, Amazon, in my case, followed by department, so women's, and then the product name, which is Lay's Maxi Dress. So titles for the child product should actually look the same as the parent product, but should include additional details to show how the variations vary. So for example, by adding size and color. So here I didn't do it well previously. It does not look like the parent title, so I'm going to go ahead and correct it. So there we go. So it looks like the parent product with just additional details on the size and the color. In other words, the variations at the end of the title. So the child titles are actually not that visible. If you see here, even if you were to click into different variations, you see the product title is still that of the parent title. But what the child title does is that on the back end, if a customer were to search for a specific color or a specific size, your child product will show up. Likewise, if they were to add it to their cart, it will show up in the cart with the child variation name. So then even in the cart, they'll be able to tell what size and what color they bought. But otherwise, it's not completely visible. Still is information that we will require. Next, I fill in the product ID. They are UPCs. I missed one here. So if I were to, if I had listed the same UPC for two different variations, it will show up as a red. It will be highlighted in red, telling me that this is an error. So all your UPCs should be unique in order for the file to upload correctly. So you need to have barcodes. If you do not have UPCs or EANs, you need to apply for exemption. If you are a brand owner and you're registered in the brand registry, you will be exempted as well. In this case, I have UPC, so I have filled it out. And there's no UPC needed for the parent product because it is not an actual physical product. I will fill out my brand name here. Next, product description is for you to add your own description of your products. So this is where you can discuss the features and benefits of your product and focus on your product's unique properties. And you can try to add in a few simple HTML codes for your products to emphasize some points. So I have chosen to bold the first sentence of the paragraph. I'm using paragraph HTML codes as well, and I'm using line breaks so that it appears on the next line. So not all HTML codes are accepted, but simple HTML codes should be okay. But make sure you check Seller Central for more information if you're interested in creating HTML codes. Right, moving on. Okay, so we move on to item type keyword. So this might be familiar to you because we came across this earlier on here. So item type keywords is used by Amazon to classify your products under this correct subcategory. So in order for your products to continue to appear when customers refine their category options, they must be classified correctly to the deepest level. So what I mean is, say, someone were to search for a pencil dress, or I'm going to use an example of a cooking pan. So you can see there are different kinds of pans here, and you want your product to be categorized in the right category. And in order for that to happen, you need to use the right item type keyword. So let me just select a few keywords so that you can see it more clearly. Right, there we go. So if I were to list my product in the generic all pants category, I just need to use the valid value pants. But the valid value, if for omelette pants, if I want my product to show up in omelette pants subcategory, I need to use this valid value, and I need to use it with the dash. So you need to copy exactly. And the item type keyword for omelette pans is different from stir fry pans, which is different from sauce pans. So as you can see, you need to be specific about your item type keyword, and you need to search for it here in order to get the correct one to classify your products correctly. So I know that my item type keyword here is dresses, so I'm going to copy that and I'm going to bring it over here and paste it in. Style number again is similar to your SKU, or it can be a different value if you want. I'll come back to the update delete column later on. So now I'm going to fill out my price and my currency. If you're selling on Amazon.com, the US marketplace, currency should be in USD. I can also fill out my quantity. This can be changed very easily in Seller Central as well. Fulfillment latency, This is the time in business days between when you receive an order for an item and when you can ship the item. It is also known as lead time to ship or handling time. The default value here is 2 business days. So if you leave this field blank, that's what will be taken as your handling time. If your lead time to ship is greater than 2 business days, then fill it up. You can fill out different values for different products as well. So say my white dresses take longer to ship. For me to fulfill the order, I can increase it to 5 and the others as 3. And that is the required fields for this section. The rest of it is actually just additional information if you wish to provide it. So for example, this column, if you are able to print a gift message with the item, you can indicate that here. You can indicate it by typing in true. You can find the value that you need in data definitions tab. So you can write true. If you leave it blank, it defaults to false. Likewise, you can also choose to write a sale price. This is if you want to slash your prices, and you can indicate a sale price here. And if you fill this column up, make sure you fill out sales start date and end date as well. And as I mentioned earlier, the dates need to be of a particular format, so make sure you refer to Data Definitions tab. Right, next we move on to the dimensions section, which where you can indicate information to specify the size and weight of a product. So shipping weight is the weight of the product when packaged to ship. So this, if I intend to ship my dress in a gift box, so this is the weight of the dress and the gift box, and this is displayed on the product page. And if you have chosen to use weight-based shipping in shipping settings, this will be used to calculate shipping costs for the customers. So I'm going to fill that up, and since I fill this up, I need to fill this up as well. And item weight is a little different. Item weight is just the weight of the product. So I can indicate that as well. Just make sure you read the titles before you fill it in. It's not exactly intuitive in this case because the order is flipped for shipping weight and item weight. You can also indicate item length, width, and height if you wish, and if relevant to your product. It is not so relevant to mine, so I'm going to skip that. Then we move on to the discovery section, and this is very important in order for your products to be discovered or to gain visibility, so make sure you fill this up. So there are 5 bullet points in total that you can fill up, where you can highlight product information. So for example, here they have 5 different bullet points. And in addition, other information that you fill up in the columns will also populate the bullet points. So we'll talk more about that later, but make sure you fill up the bullet points. It's really a prime area for customers to notice. So I filled it up with the various information, and also fill up the search terms because this is what Amazon uses to help customers find your products. So I'm using things like wedding, parties. So if someone were to look for a wedding party dress, they will come to my product. Right, so that section is done. We go into images. Images, you need to add in individual URLs where the images are located. The accepted formats are .jpeg, .jpg, or .gif. URLs must be fully formed and valid, and make sure the images are compliant to our image requirements as well. So for example, a pure white background or at least 1001 pixels. More details on the requirements are in the style guides of the respective categories. And if you have variations like I do, the image of the child variations should show only that child product. So for example, for my gray dress, the image should just be of the gray dress, at least for the main image. I can't have a main image showing all three colors. Neither can I have an image of a white dress for my gray child variation. So you can fill up three other images as well using the template. The next section is the fulfillment section. If you're using fulfillment by FBA, you can fill this section up. This information here can also be populated directly through Seller Central. So whichever is more easy or convenient for you. Next, we move into variation. So if you don't have variations, you can skip this section. But I have variations, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. Again, information that you need to fill it up can be found in your valid values tab. You can see for parentage, I need to fill it out with either child or parent. Accessory or variation for relationship type. Variation theme, I need to look for the right category. Right product type. So I'm going to fill this up and you can take a look. So parent, I will indicate as parent, and everything else I will indicate as child. So my products vary as variations and not as an accessory. So, sorry, it should be this column. So these are all variations. And parent SKU is where you indicate the parent SKU. So the parent SKU, so these are all child under this parent, and this is the SKU. So I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to put it in here. So this tells the system that this is a child and it is a child of this parent SKU. So this is how the system recognizes it, and then they will file it under the right parent. And the variation theme, I have it to varying by both size and color. So I'm going to put size color. Right, this next section here is just cautionary statements. If you feel like any of your products are choking hazards, or parts of your products are choking hazards, you can fill this out. It's not really relevant to me, so I'm going to skip to the next section. Ungroup is mostly optional information that you can provide to make your listings rich. The only mandatory fields I'm going to point out right now, it depends on your variation theme. So I see that my products vary by size and color. So I definitely need to provide size and color information. So color, I'm going to fill that out. And I like to name my colors creatively. I like to say space gray instead of gray. And I like to use jet black instead of black. That is completely acceptable in the color name column. But for color map, it needs to be the standard colors that we accept. And you can get this from the valid values tab once again. There we go. So it needs to be one of these. And this is important because if you listed your products as space, say burgundy, and someone were to search for a red dress, then the system might not be able to make the connection automatically until you indicate that burgundy should be mapped to red. In that case, if someone were to search for a red dress, the system will know, okay, burgundy is red as well. So they can push your product to the customer. So this is an extremely important column. Make sure you fill that out. So the next thing here that I want to fill out is size, because I say that my product also vary by size. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that out. Again, you can put a size name and a size map. Now the third mandatory column here that you need to fill out is department. This is a mandatory field for apparel, and department, once again, you saw it here. So the system has already told you what is a valid value for department name. So it's women. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put that in here. There we go. So that's basically all the mandatory information you need. If you feel like adding information on the button quantity or the collar type, go ahead and do that. I have just filled up some additional information here. I have indicated the sleeve type and the strap type, and these are all values that I have pulled from the valid values tab. So there we go. That we have listed one product. And I hope you have a better understanding now of the columns, their definitions, and the use. So taking the time to fill out an inventory file for bulk product uploads upfront can help you make quick changes to your products later on. So for instance, let's say you decide to change the product feature bullets for all of your products. Instead of making them individually on Seller Central, you can update the product feature columns in your spreadsheet and re-upload the file to Seller Central. So changes are very easy to make with this file. Also, I want to go back to this column, update delete column. So let's look at valid values. You see that there are three possible values for it. Let me explain each of them for you. So the default is update. So if you leave this column blank, it will default to update, which means that all the information here will overwrite the information of the corresponding SKUs in your inventory on Seller Central. So if you name the dresses differently on Seller Central and I upload this file, the information that is in the file will overwrite the old product titles on Seller Central. That is if you use the update button. If you use delete, so say the gray dress ran out of stock and you don't intend to restock it, you can then type in delete in this column. You can leave the rest blank, so it will default to update, and you can upload it, which means information for the other rows will be updated and overwritten, and this will be removed from your inventory completely. So this is helpful if you're working off one master file for your catalog. So you're able to keep track of the changes very easily. The third value that you can use is partial update. That is if you intend to make changes to only a few select columns. So if you want to make changes to the product description and you want to make changes to the images, I would firstly delete all information, leaving just the SKU, product description, and image URL. So everything else I would delete, and then I'll make the changes I want to the product description and to the images. And then here I would put I'll put partial update. There we go. And if I upload it, the system will know that there isn't any other information here except the SKU, product description, images, and partial update. So the system will know that they are expected to only update the product description and the images. So everything else in Seller Central will stay. It will not be overwritten except the columns that remain if you use partial update in this column. So you can read up more about this if you're interested, but I find this a very helpful feature of the template. All right, so there we go. We have completed one listing. And let's take a 2 minutes break here. And when we come back, we will upload the file to Seller Central. All right, and we're back. So this is the file that we have completed. So right now what you do is to save the file. Go to File, Save As, choose a folder, and instead of saving it as an Excel workbook, what you want to save it as is text file. So tab delimited, save it, save. You will receive two pop-up errors. Just click OK here, and yes. There we go. Now we go into Seller Central. So we were working off the first tab to download the file and also to get the correct item type, keyword, and department name. Now we go on to the second tab. So there are different boxes here. First is check your file. Let's come back to this later on. Second is upload file, and third is purge and replace your inventory. So the second and the third is actually pretty similar. The only difference is that the third box, if you were to upload using this method, it wipes all existing information on Seller Central and replace them with the contents of this file. So this is helpful if you want to start afresh and you want to overwrite everything. Otherwise, use the step 2 upload file. So there are different files that you can choose. If you're selling books, you could use the standard book loader file. But the file that we're using today is an inventory file for non-media categories, which is sufficient for most of our sellers. So I click this. I choose my file, the txt file. And here in email alert, I can choose to send an email alert to my email address when the upload is complete. If my colleague is doing the update, I can change email as well. This is helpful because sometimes for large files, greater than 5 megabytes, uploads can take up to 8 hours to process. So you don't want to keep refreshing in Seller Central. You want to receive an email alert when it's done. So this is a good way to be notified. And the processing report, which tells you whether the upload is successful, and if not successful, what was not successful. You can choose to receive in either Excel or text format. I recommend the Excel format because it's much easier to read and much easier to pinpoint the errors in your upload. So I have already done the necessary, and I'm going to go ahead and upload it. Right. So each time you upload, you will receive a new batch ID. You will know when is the time of the upload. When the upload is done, you will see the upload status, and you'll be able to download the processing report. Looks like my upload has not read. There we go. So this is the newest upload. It's here. Right. So while let me just open the processing report for you. So I already uploaded earlier today, and when you upload it, you'll be able to you'll receive if you have signed up for the email alert. When it's complete, you'll receive an email like this. So this tells you how many records were processed, what are the errors, what are the warnings. So I got a lot of warnings, and this is expected because I pretty much didn't provide anything that is valid. I did not provide valid UPCs or EANs. I did not provide valid image URLs. I am not actually registered in the brand registry, and I do not have category approval. So my errors are expected, but let me show you how the processing report will look like. So if you have chosen to receive it in Excel format, this is how it will look to you. You have instructions. You have a summary, similar to what you saw in the message, in the email message. So again, a feed processing summary, and then you'll be able to see what the errors are and what the warnings are. And if you need more information, if you're not clear about something, you can actually just click into the URL provided here. Just a minute. There we go. So it will tell me what I need to do. So I didn't have category approval, so it linked me to seek approval here. Alternatively, you can also look at the other errors. So I have another error here. So if I click into it, I'll be able to see what the error is, and I'll be able to read how to resolve it. So it will tell you if this is the first time you're finding the errors, you can try to correct it first before attempting to create another file, or you can wait for 24 hours. So this is all information that you can read through, and it will tell you how to fix it. For a full explanation of the other codes, you can come to this page as well. Just search for error codes here. You'll be able to find it. If you need it in Chinese, there are Chinese translations as well. So yeah, it's easy for you to read, easy for you to resolve, but something that's much cooler is that if you click into the template page, you'll be able to see that explained to you much more comprehensively. So it tells you what the errors are. You can see it immediately, and if you want, you can start changing it here. Yeah, so they highlighted the main URLs because it's not working. Right. So this is a great summary of all the errors and makes it easier for you to fix it. So now going back to the second tab, I wanted to talk about step 1, check your file. So if you are very new to this and you're scared to make changes to your inventory without having someone look through your file, what you can do is to use this section here. So if you upload your file the same way you have uploaded it to be uploaded, and you click check my file, you will send it through the system, and a robot will check your listings for you, and it will tell you how to correct. It will identify common errors for you, and it will help you to correct them. It will also identify quality alerts and give you suggestions on how to correct them. But the coolest part of it is that it also helps you to build variations. So if say you didn't come for my tutorial today and you didn't know about variations, and you submitted something without the parent SKU, and you didn't have this, that's fine. And you can just upload this file. And what the system does is to create the variations for you. The thing though is that this is only currently supported for clothing, shoes, and accessories right now. So check back to Seller Central just to see in the future if your category is supported, if it's not currently supported. All right, so one last thing that I want to show you is how to edit product details in Seller Central. This will probably take 1 minute because it's very easy to do that. So with all my errors, I was only able to upload one listing. And if I want to make changes to it, I can. So when you click in, you'll be able to see the parent product. And if you want to see the child product, click on the arrow and expand it. I currently only have one child product, but here it is. And if I make any information, I should try to make information to both the parent product and the child product individually. So if I want to make changes to, say, the title, I can click into edit. And I can change any of the information here. I can upload another image, or I can change, say, I want to name it Jet Black. I can do that. And then I save and finish. Right. And if I want to make changes to price, I can also do it very quickly here. If I want to increase my price, and I can click Save All, and this will make the bulk update really quickly. All right, and there we have it. This is pretty much all the information that you need to get started. So we filled out this template today, and I'm going to provide you with the same template, but with additional notes. You can actually download it via the handouts box in the GoToWebinar panel. So go ahead and do that. So you have a copy of this as an additional guidance. If you find that you have already read through all my notes and you want to hide them, just go into review and toggle the show all comments button. Right, so thank you for taking the time to join me today. We've come to the end of my tutorial, so I'm going to give you some time to ask me any questions and I will answer them in a few minutes.